and welcome to episode 1, the debut episode of the official Establish the Run podcast. My name is Adam Levitan. I am one of the co-founders here at ETR. Today, I am joined by my partner in this endeavor, the unquestioned true king of the football analysis industry, the lord of the infamous gallon water chug. It is, of course, Evan Silva. Evan, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, Adam? Doing well, man. Last time we did it, well, I guess we've done a couple of DFS podcasts, DFS podcasts, but the last time we did a podcast together as business partners or as true teammates was, that was a while ago. We did a preseason DFS one and we just got shut down after episode 1. But it's good to rekindle the flame and reunite and get back together, and we're gonna have a great season. I'm really excited for it.
Once we write the book of the Establish the Run history, we will go into detail about what happened to that one podcast thing that we did in 2015. Just about we're gonna get into ball in a second here, but about the business. Like I know this whole thing has made you maybe a bit like you don't want it to be about you. I know you want it to be about the analysis and the football, and a lot of people would revel in like all the attention. Like I don't know if people noticed, like somebody wrote an article on like a bunch of websites about Evan. There's Reddit threads like, where is Evan going? Where is Evan going? It's like big news. I know you want it to be about the analysis and the ball, but I feel like this whole kind of leaving Roto World, starting a whole thing has made you maybe a bit uncomfortable about the public spotlight. Is that fair, Evan, or no?
Yeah, I mean that's it's definitely like not about me. It's always about the players and football. And that's what I like to talk about. I don't like to do like podcasts about myself, or anything like that. But I'm really excited about this enterprise. First of all, it was a great opportunity to be able to work with you again, Adam. We worked together for 5 or 6 years at Roto World.
Yeah.
Got to be really good friends over the years. You made a smart decision, 4 or 5 years ago or whatever, to branch off and do your own stuff. And I stayed working for the big corporation. And look, Roto World was a great experience. It was a necessary experience, probably for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
But, about 2 or 3 years ago, I started thinking about doing something a little bit more entrepreneurial. And finally, we got the opportunity to do that. And we started to establish the run. And with Taylor, KB, and Andrew Wiggins, and Pat Thorman, and Josh Hermsmeyer, and Brandon Thorne, our new offensive line analyst, I think we put together a really good team, and we're going to have a great first season together.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's all just about betting on yourself. Like if we mess up and this doesn't go well, it's only on us. There's nobody else to blame besides us. And I'd rather do that any day of the week than leave it up to somebody else. But by the way, really appreciate the support from everybody. I mean, Evan tweeted once, and I think I tweeted once, and the site just insta crashed, and I was ready to murder someone. I was tilting so hard, but when I look back, it was like, man, nobody could have predicted the amount of interest and the amount of people that were trying to get on the site at that time. So we have it all cleaned up now. We're all ready to go. But really do appreciate the interest. It's been overwhelming, kind of the reaction, from kind of the audience and everybody that we've hopefully helped over the last, 10 or 15 years or however long we've been doing this.
Well, we got that Schefter retweet, so I'm blaming Adam Schefter for crashing our site on day 1.
I know. If the site had like any chance of staying up, it was like dead as soon as Schefter retweeted it. It was like, oh God, there it goes. All right. Evan, enough is enough here. Evan has been melting down behind the scenes because he has not been able to post content. He's the only one that I know that is just at the drooling at the mouth to post more work, to do more work. He's been storing it up. And I believe actually the number one thing that people have been asking for, Evan, is your top 150 list, your top 150 players for fantasy drafting. Tell the people about your process for creating this list, for creating these rankings, and basically how you do it.
Yeah, so I do a lot of drafts leading up to the point where I start publishing top 150s, and it's very much relative to ADP, average draft position. So I will purposely put guys much higher than their ADP if I want my readers to get them, or if I want myself, because I use my own rankings. Mm-hmm. So if I want myself to get someone, then I'm going to put him above ADP. Last year, a big guy for me was James White, and I had him way above his ADP. He was like around like 11th round ADP around this time last year, and I had him way up in like the 6th round. So if you were like using my rankings or my tiers to help yourself draft, you were getting James White in every single draft, and there are going to be some guys that we talk about tonight that definitely fit that criteria.
I think people always want to know, because even if I have my own rankings, my own projections, I always get to a point where I'm like, man, I know I have this guy ranked a little bit higher, but damn, I don't really like this guy. I like this other guy more. Is that how you do it? Or are you, when you draft, are you strictly going off of your top 150?
Not strictly, but I'm using, like, when I draft, I want to be able to actually implement my like cheat sheet or my top 150, tangibly into a draft. Mm-hmm. So if I go into a draft and I'm like, hey, I've got, let's say, Cooper Kupp and Tyler Boyd, like I have Cooper Kupp higher, but I find myself taking Tyler Boyd over Cooper Kupp, I will make that necessary adjustment, because I want to be true to myself and I want to be true to the readers. And I think that people appreciate that.
So what we're going to do here tonight is we went over Evan's initial top 150, which will be posted on EstablishTheRun.com in Evan's draft kit. And what we did is we went through and we looked at the biggest market differences between average draft position and where Evan has them. 10 guys that we're going to go through here, relatively in order of ADP. I find some of these guys fascinating because I think we might disagree a little bit on some of these guys, but some of them we certainly agree on. And one that we definitely agree on is AJ Green. Evan Silva has him 21st overall in his top 150. Current ADP is 35.2. I mean, I don't understand how AJ Green's ADP can be 35.2. I understand that he missed 7 games last year, has had a ton of toe problems. All reports from the offseason were really strong on AJ Green's health. And when this guy has played, he is balled. I mean, one of my favorite stats, I think one of your favorite stats too, yards per route run. 8th out of 107 wide receivers last year was AJ Green in yards per route run, 10th in 2017, 2nd in 2016. AJ Green, to me, is one of the best wide receivers in the league. Still, how is his ADP 35.2, Evan?
Yeah, and one thing to note is that, like the James White example was a good one because, you don't necessarily – so I had him rated as like a 6th rounder or a 5th rounder last year, and he was going in the 11th round. So that doesn't mean that you should draft him, straight off the cheat sheet, straight off the top 150. Mm-hmm. You should have some idea of average draft position and, try to get James White in the 8th or the 9th, kind of try to find like a happy medium. And AJ Green, I have him as the 21st overall player. His ADP is the 35th overall player. So, that's a kind of like a big gap. Mm-hmm. And, if you're a savvy drafter, you're going to be able to find a happy medium. And I'm the reason, one of the main reasons that I like AJ Green this year is because I'm buying the Bengals passing game this season under Zach Taylor. A bunch of key guys are back from injuries. AJ Green is at the top of that list. 8 games in the last year, he was on pace for 90 catches, 1,374 yards, and 14 touchdowns. And then he got hurt. And as you mentioned, he finished number 7 among 96 receivers in yards per route run. And that's a really good indication that AJ Green has plenty left in the tank, despite the fact that he's entering his age 31 season. As I've done more and more drafts, there is no better fantasy football feeling this year than taking AJ Green in the 4th round. And I've been able to do that in quite a few drafts already. I think he's a buy in Dynasty. I think he's a buy in redraft, best ball, and DFS. Hopefully we get him cheap in week 1 against Seattle, because I don't think that any of the Seahawks cornerbacks can cover him. Mm-hmm. And I think that because of his age and because he's had some injuries lately, he's become one of the best value pickups in all forms of fantasy.
Yeah, no brainer. In a subsequent podcast, we're going to talk more about Zach Taylor and this offense as a whole, but I think AJ Green, we can say, is a no-brainer at his current ADP. Next guy I want to get to is Patrick Mahomes, because obviously there's a lot of controversy in the fantasy community about Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, his touchdown rate is going to regress. 8.6% is outrageous. I think maybe, though, the biggest ding you can make on Patrick Mahomes is potentially losing Tyreek Hill. Evan Silva has Patrick Mahomes 74th in his top 150. ADP is currently 38.7. How much of that 74 ranking, Evan, is due to a likely suspension or possible suspension of Tyreek Hill?
I think it's mainly due to the public overdrafting a quarterback based on the previous year stats. First of all, no quarterback that finishes the quarterback 1 overall in fantasy has repeated as the quarterback 1 overall in fantasy in the last 15 years. And that's really just a regression to the mean stat. And we already started to see Patrick Mahomes regress a bit down the stretch last year, because over the last 6 games, Patrick Mahomes went from averaging 327 passing yards and 3.6 touchdowns per game to 291 yards and 2.2 touchdowns per game. And those latter stats are still really, really good. But, that was a significant regression at the end of the season. And, I think it's actually starting to look more and more like Tyreek Hill's suspension won't be long, and that there have even been some whispers that he may not get suspended at all.
Oh, wow.
But I have Deshaun Watson as my quarterback 1 overall right now. Patrick Mahomes is my quarterback 2, still in that first tier, that first elite tier, obviously. And I only have 2 guys in that tier, so it's Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. But with Tyreek Hill, like, I'm playing the Scott Fish Bowl right now, and I got him early in the 5th round. I think that he's a guy that people should be drafting right now, because his cost is depressed, and he's a massive difference maker. And it looks like his suspension is going to be, I was anticipating 6 to 8 games for a while, but it looks like it's going to be 0 to 4 games at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see on Tyreek Hill. I think they're going to make a decision before camp is what I read the NFL will. So we should know pretty soon here. It is interesting, though, Deshaun Watson, QB1, Patrick Mahomes, QB2. A lot of people are going to scoff at that. But, man, Deshaun Watson with Will Fuller healthy, with Kiki Kute healthy, obviously with DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, the offensive line, I'm curious to see what Brandon Thorne thinks about the Texans' offensive line, because it can't really get any worse. Can it get any better, though? Either way, Deshaun Watson's rushing floor and his weapons, I have no problem with taking Deshaun Watson ahead of Patrick Mahomes. The thing is, you won't have to. Deshaun Watson is likely to go 3 or 4 rounds after, or 1 or 2 rounds after Patrick Mahomes.
Yes. Another thing to like about Deshaun Watson is the fact that Bill O'Brien, I don't know what to think about him as a coach. I go back and forth on him as a coach, but his offenses have consistently played up-tempo. And the Texans have finished top 12 in the NFL in offensive plays all 5 years that Bill O'Brien has been there as head coach. The Texans go from facing last year's easiest schedule in the entire NFL. Warren Sharp had them rated as the easiest schedule in the NFL, and they wound up facing the easiest schedule in the NFL. To this year's toughest schedule in the NFL, like going from 1 to 32. And I went and looked back at Deshaun Watson's performance in games where the Texans are playing from behind, and his yards per attempt skyrockets from 7.4 to 8.7, and his yards per carry goes from 4.8 to 6.2. And I went and looked at a bunch of different quarterbacks. Peyton Manning had better stats when he was playing from, with a lead. Cam Newton has been better when he's been playing with a lead. So, this is not like a common trait necessarily among quarterbacks. And I think when you watch Deshaun Watson play, I think it's almost intuitive, because he's so good, like playing with urgency and kind of playing in chaos. And at this point, behind that offensive line, he's kind of used to playing in chaos. And look, if we can get, 13 or 14 games out of Kiki QT and 12 to 14 games out of Will Fuller, and shoot, DeAndre Hopkins has missed 1 game in his career. This is a dynamic passing attack. And they're going to be playing from behind more. And look, he was the quarterback 4 last year, coming off a torn ACL and dealing with that partially collapsed lung and broken rib. So, yeah, I think that Deshaun Watson actually has a higher floor and more upside than Patrick Mahomes this year. And he's a much better runner than Patrick Mahomes. Oh,
yeah. And also, Deshaun Watson did it last year without Will Fuller and Kute for much of the year. All right, let's move to the third guy we're going to talk about here. Evan has Travis Kelce 13th overall in his top 150. Evan has George Kittle 23rd overall in his top 150. You have to go all the way back to 40th overall to find Zach Ertz in Evan's top 150. Zach Ertz's ADP is 25. I think most people, or a lot of people, are going to have Kelce, Kittle, Ertz bunched up, or at least they'll have Kittle and Ertz bunched up. You have Zach Ertz a full tier at least behind.